Hi, it's Quiet Liz again, and sorry about falling behind on the videos. Life got busy, and I didn't really have the energy to talk on camera. But today I wanted to talk about specifically how I handled separation and divorce. And I know I talked a little bit about it when I made the video about coming out to my now ex-wife and kid. Um, so try to remember the topics I covered there and not go over the same thing. Um, Hopefully, not too much, anyways. In any case, I guess a quick summary to bring it up to speed is so after I told my then wife that I was interested in wearing women's clothing, I believe is how it started. Then, she called me out and she was right. Turned out I was full on trans and not. And I mean, I didn't want to admit it, but I think I knew I was even when I was trying to sell that the I'm just a crossdresser thing. So yeah. After that, what came about beforehand was us trying to figure out what to do, how to handle things, um, whether or not she would be okay with it, um, and there wasn't really anything sort of tangible, rational that kind of went along with that. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainties, and everyone's a different person, so I'm not sure how much like trying to go into detail there is really going to help. Beyond, so what ended up happening is um, I was really dysphoric over having leg hair. That was kind of the turning point. um, so I shaved my legs, and she knew about it beforehand. So she knew I was going to shave my legs, and she then saw it and was like, "Holy crap, your legs are hairless." Um, I I believe I did. Um, I tried one leg, or rather my calf and shin area, with like wax, and it didn't work very well. And I don't know if that's the wax I got or what, but it just wasn't really a thing. So I took my hair clippers that I had for cutting my own hair at that point, and took like the smallest, like a one, I think is what the smallest is. Anyways, just far enough so that none of the metal um, bits would actually touch my skin, because uh, I didn't want to cut myself that way. So I used that to shave all my leg hair first and get it nice and short. And then I went through. I, I bought like a big pack, and I think they usually come in like 10. So I went through the whole pack, shaving my legs and my butt. Because, I don't know, it felt weird to have some butt hair. So, yeah. In any case, all done and cleaned up and everything. And so she was awkward about it, and I was awkward about it. But at the same time, like, I put on jeans and I was in love because, oh God, like, cold jeans on like freshly shaved legs. Well, when it's not super cold, like in the summertime, cold jeans on freshly shaved legs is amazing. At least I think so. um, so she was trying not to make a big deal of it, and then we went to bed, and that was when she kind of freaked over it, just because she was like, "Your legs feel smoother than mine do," and I disagreed. Um, but to each their own. It bothered her greatly, and that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. At least as far as I can remember. maybe she knows different, but the odds of me ever getting her to tell her stories, well, she might write it out so I could tell it. Anyways, um, point being, uh, straw that broke the camel's back meant um, I was pretty close to getting kicked out of the bedroom at that point. I think, if I remember right. Um, if not, actually got kicked out as a result of that. At which point, um, at least I think that was the order of things. Honestly, it's a little hazy, and I didn't pay that much attention to that time frame. Um, I know that legs shaved were a big deal to her, and I know that as a result of that and various other smaller factors, she had a problem sleeping in the same bed as me. So I get kicked out into the guest room. Um, and that's essentially where I spend the rest of my time, living in the guest room awkwardly, um, which had its perks. I got to be right next to the kids because the kids' room and the guest room were right next to each other. However, I had a lot of stuff to move out of the master bedroom into a small little room that's like, I want to say it was like a 10 by 10. Um, so I had to have the bed there, dresser, move the exercise bike in there, my computer desk. I made it work, um, impressively enough. Uh, so I lived in the guest room for a while, and that was sort of where, well, when the kids would go to bed, that's where I stayed. And when, even after a little while, we didn't even eat together, so it's pretty much where I lived. I kind of had like this little room, and that's where I spent all of my time unless I was with the kids. Um, and as a result of that, it gave me a lot of time to process what was happening. I went through those grieving stages, I think. Um, the 6 stages of grief, I think it's called. Whatever. Um, I I processed the reality that we were going to get a divorce, and um, in that time frame, my second kid was born, and um, essentially what I wanted was to feel comfortable leaving the house because um, I had told my then wife that, like, hey, if we're separated, then you can totally date. I'll watch the kids, babysit. I mean, put them to bed, make sure they stay in their room. If you want to bring someone over or go to their place, whatever. She wasn't okay with that. For various reasons. I don't think she accepted the whole divorce thing right away. I don't think that aspect. She was also not comfortable doing that around the kids, which is understandable. And she felt awkward doing that while I still lived in the house, which I took as a hint to leave as soon as I felt comfortable. And I guess I should clarify, I never considered her to be a bad parent. I just, I naturally take care of things and people. So I was the one who'd wake up in the middle of the night because I felt bad waking her up. And it was easier for me to handle waking up, taking care of the kids, getting them back to sleep, and me going right back to sleep because I could do that half awake. At least I learned how. um, so it was a bit of that, which led to frustrations and anger on her part, which is understandable. She felt like I was being lazy and not taking care of the kids because I backed off and wanted to see her do it. And so that caused a lot of fights, and I was worried about all the fighting that was going on affecting the kids. So we planned during the summer that she would go see her parents and I would move out while she was gone. Um, we told the kids it was happening just so it wouldn't be a complete surprise. And I kind of made it like a thing that when they got to go, like when they came back, they got to see my place and they got to see their room and how I'd bought a bunch of stuff for them. I mean, I didn't buy toys or anything. I didn't have furniture to live, so I bought them beds. Um, I did get a couple toys. I mean, kids are easy with toys. Sometimes, anyway. Dining table, you know, essentials. Things to make sure that I could take care of them, at least to some degree, on my own. I also, funny enough, made sure I had groceries for them. More so than me. I mean, one, it's easier to buy stuff for kids, especially when they can be kind of picky, and I'm not trying to push them to try different things and to not eat stuff, because, well, stress and such of, well, living on my own all of a sudden, and transitioning and all that good jazz all rolled into one. And at this point, we're still separated, and I'm getting frustrated because it's like, okay, well, I I want the paperwork done because um, I hung on to. Well, I had. Well, I accepted the fact that she didn't want me to live with her and that we were separated and that we weren't going to be together. I didn't completely, and a part of me held on to not having signed the divorce papers as a glimmer of hope. And I needed, logically speaking, rationally speaking, I could understand that we were never going to get back together. But irrational, emotional, what have you, um, I held on to not being divorced as a crack in the door to get back in. So the rational side of me kind of not necessarily took control, but made sure I pushed for getting the divorce papers done. And so eventually got that all settled, got custody arrangements agreed upon, child support, and I am grateful because people in her family and friends circles were impressed with our arrangement. So she fought less about it. And that made it easier on me because, well, the more fighting that went on, the more inevitably trickled down to the kids. Since it's hard not to have it affect them. I mean, it's not their fault, but it's hard to make that disconnect since they're what keeps us together in one way or another. Or rather, keeps us in each other's lives. I think that's a better way to put it. So I did learn that, if you were going to get divorced, preferably like at the beginning of the year is the way to go. If, you're going to make that choice. Or hold off until January. I don't know, that sounds really messed up, but I'm very fortunate to have been in the position that I was when we got divorced. Um, what I didn't know was that it didn't matter at what point in the year you got divorced. Um, so my taxes were filed as married. Very common thing for married people to do. And at the time I had a very good salary that I didn't live beyond my means, and I generally kind of lived more frugal than not. I in any case, I made a good amount of money that the IRS wanted their fair share, now that I was no longer married, because our divorce went through at the end of summer, fall time frame, thereabouts. So because of that little gap of time, all of those taxes I paid as married, I now owed more money than I thought. A few $1,000s more. It hurt, but I managed. And so that's why I'm, I guess, passing that on to you in hopes that if you can play the cards right, work it that way, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. In the end, I know I mentioned it in the other video, but we both accepted, got used to, learned to work with each other as divorced parents, and it took us a while, but we got co-parenting to work. And I'm glad that we did, and I think a lot of that has to do with the level of transparency we've both held with each other, which is kind of messed up, I guess. When we were together, I accepted that lying was a way to live together, or omitting the truth, or whatever variation you want to go with. That didn't work for me. It was exhausting, and one of the things that I took away from that later on got applied to my dating life was no secrets or lies except for sweet surprises. I've held true to that with all of my partners since the divorce, and I've also held true to that with her. Sometimes for better or worse. Flip a coin on which one of us doesn't want all the details sometimes, but I think it's made us better co-parents and friends. And opened a door I never expected, because she's my best friend. Still. Still love her. That part didn't go away, and kind of hope it doesn't. I mean, I love my friends, so it's okay in that sense, and I've grown to accept the relationship that we currently have, the way things work, the dynamic, and I think it's going pretty well. And most importantly, while we struggle to be good parents, great parents, whatever, I think we're both decent parents, and that's the best I could hope for out of all of that, is that neither one of us is hurting the kids as a result of everything that's happened. So hopefully that helps others. Some can relate, some get an idea of the stuff I've gone through. I don't know how unique that is, but figure it's not that unique. I mean, might change a little bit, but meh. In any case, I guess that'll be it for today. So, bye.